Hello and welcome. I'm Nathan Newbrough, CEO of the Colorado Springs Philharmonic, here with our concertmaster, Mr. Michael Hanson, and we are here at St. Francis Medical Center, part of Penrose St. Francis Health Services, and we're here to talk about the Butterfly Lovers Violin Concerto. And your appearance with the Philharmonic as soloist in sort of an unusual piece for solo violin.
It is. Most of the pieces we play are from the Western tradition. In fact, on my second trip to China, was prepared to play the Sibelius Violin Concerto with the Hunan Symphony, and 2 days before departure I received a telephone call that said, would you mind learning this piece in addition to the one that you're prepared to play? So that was a challenge, but also a blessing, because I got to have a unique point of contact with the Chinese colleagues and Chinese orchestra that I would not otherwise have had.
Now this piece is actually written by a pair of composers, which is very unusual. Most of the time we know of a piece that's written by a single individual. This is written by a pair, He Zhenhao and Chen Gang. And so tell us about what it must be like for composers working as a team to compose a work like this.
I think that if we look at the timeline involved, this was written in 1959, and so, and written at a conservatory. I don't know details of the story, but I can imagine that in the interests of collectivity at the time under Mao, that it was encouraged for people to work together in something like this, and that the individual accomplishment might have been less emphasized.
Yeah. And so the Butterfly Lovers Concerto is based on a legend of the Butterfly Lovers. These star-crossed lovers. Tell us a bit, if you would, about the legend and what we can expect in the concerto.
The story is about a young lady and a young man. The young lady is from a traditional Chinese family, and she's about to be betrothed to someone whose family has similar stature. And she requests of her parents that rather than immediately go forward with that wedding arrangement, that instead she be allowed a year of freedom. And so she disguises herself in typically Shakespearean fashion, and like a Mozart opera also, as a young man, and goes off to school. She meets someone she has a love interest in, and they spend time together. He's completely unaware, typically male, right?
Right.
Has no idea what's going on, doesn't realize that she's a young woman at all. And so she suggests that he come to her home and meet her sister and parents, hoping that at that point it will be possible for them to move forward and get married. He is embarrassed about his station in life and doesn't follow through with this, and so the parents insist you must get married to this other influential family. She goes on a journey down a river, and there's a prevailing wind coming the opposite direction. It's not possible for her to proceed, so she gets out of the boat, and it happens to be right next to the tomb where Lang Shangbo is buried, because he died of a broken heart when he found out that she was in fact engaged. She goes and she asks the gods that the earth would open up and swallow her. And so the earth opens, she falls in and perishes, and the butterflies are the souls of this couple as they come out of the tomb together. And it's a lovely story. There's in fact a statue, the Chinese people like to refer to this as their Romeo and Juliet. There's a statue that the city of Verona, where Romeo and Juliet is set, gave to, I think it's Nangbo, which is the community where this Chinese story is supposedly from. And so the connections are quite strong. And what I enjoy about it is, we think of Western literary traditions as having these themes that are in some way overarchingly about the human condition, and at the same time you go around the world you have a conversation with people, and they both identify our tradition as the tradition of Romeo and Juliet, and they have their own tradition of a similar kind of tragic, star-crossed love story. So it was very enjoyable to kind of have the conversation about that with Chinese colleagues.
You've brought your instrument.
I did.
Can I put you under pressure to give us a taste of this concerto?
I'll play a little bit of it, but I'm going to play a melody and show a couple of sliding idiomatic techniques that in the Chinese tradition come from the fact that the erhu often was used. It's a bowed instrument, and the notes bend easily, so there's a lot of sliding. There are no frets, there's even no fingerboard. But let me give an example of one of those melodic points. This is at a point of tension in the story. There's a love duet between Lang Shangbo and Zhu Yingtai. So that's played in duet with the cello, and that's the love duet. So I'm going to play two ways. One is just how I probably would normally handle the material, a little bit cleaned up, but and this would be with some of the characteristic slides. Just a little taste of what it's like when it's altered with those slides. And of course, in our Western tradition, we think of that often as something that's characteristic of a performer. So if you listen to someone like Itzhak Perlman play and you're a violinist, I'm not sure how much the audience identifies slight differences in timing, but you'll hear he's kind of the master of the slide on the violin, and then you'll hear someone like Joshua Bell, who's a great artist as well. And all of those little connections between notes are different. I think the thing about this piece is, to some extent, they're part of the tradition, and you have to accommodate that tradition and try and recreate that tradition to give an authentic performance of the piece. Another thing about it that's typically Oriental is the use of what we would call a pentatonic scale, and I'm not sure whether that's as easy to pick up on, but I'll play a little bit of the opening melody, and you'll notice that there's certain notes that are just left out. So if I were to play this, or there would be many more notes than you hear. So in this case, it's referred to as pentatonic. Our normal scale would have 7 notes in it, but here, very characteristic of folk traditions in music all over the world.
What a rare privilege to hear you play and talk about this amazing piece. If you'd like to know more about the Colorado Springs Philharmonic, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or online at csphilharmonic.org. Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks,
You're
Steve.
welcome. My pleasure.